All right. Algebra 1, we are going to get into the last section of factoring for the whole chapter. Okay, so it says here in many cases we can solve quadratics, which is basically what these equations are when they're x squared. We can solve them by factoring. That's the whole reason we're trying to factor and learning how to factor is that later we can solve quadratics. Okay. So for this first one, these are kind of the steps that you want to take when we're trying to solve quadratics. So the first step is to set the equation equal to 0. Okay. So when you're doing something like that, it's really, really important that we do this first step. If you don't, you're going to get the whole problem wrong. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to replace this y with a 0. But usually we have that 0 on the other side, so I'm going to flip-flop them and say x squared plus 3x minus 10 equals 0. So I just flip-flopped positions, okay? And then, number 2, factor the left side. So factor just this side, okay? We don't need to worry about the 0. Just factor this side. Well, if it's something in front, it's slide divide because it's 3 terms, but there's nothing in front. So I can go ahead and straight to negative 10. What 2 factors of negative 10 give me 3? And since it's negative, I need to subtract. So out of those 2 and 5 subtract to get 3. And since it's a positive, the bigger one also needs to be positive. So it would be x minus 2 and x plus 5, okay? And that's completely factored, okay? But the difference here is we're going back to the 0 product property, which means you're going to set each factor equal to 0, okay? Set each factor equal to 0, and you're going to get 2 answers a lot of the time, okay? So I'm going to set this equal to 0, x minus 2 equals 0, and this equal to 0, x plus 5 equals 0. We talked about this, but if it's x minus 2, it's just going to be the opposite sign. So x equals 2. Subtract 5, x equals negative 5. And there we go. So we've got a few examples we're going to go through. Okay, but all of these, you want to set equal to 0 first, factor, and then set them equal to 0 at the end. So it's no different from what we've been doing, okay? So this one, we've got x squared plus 4x plus 3. Again, it's already equal to 0, so what 2 factors of 3 add up to 4? And you would say 1 and 3. So both positive, x plus 1, x plus 3. Now it's factored. But now we don't stop there. We go ahead and set those 2 equal to 0 separately and get our 2 answers. Now, if you want to go ahead and skip ahead and just write the opposite sign, that's fine. Or you solve and get the same thing. Okay? That's kind of up to you, but you're solving for x. Okay? Same thing for number 3. We've got all equal to 0 already. Good. And now we can factor. Again, it's a trinomial. So negative 2. What 2 factors of negative 2? Subtract to get 1. 1 and 2. But it's positive, so it's positive 1 and negative 2. Positive 2 and negative 1. So x minus 1, x plus 2. Once again, set those equal to 0. And solve. And so if I add 1, that's positive 1. If I subtract 2, that's negative 2. And there's my 2 answers. Okay. So same thing for the next one, number 5. We've got all equal to 0 already. Good. And now we go ahead and say, okay, well, what 2 factors of positive 21 give me 10? 1 and 21, 3 and 7. Well, it's positive, so they need to add to get 10, but it's a negative 10. So negative 10, I want both negative. So x minus 3, x minus 7. Set those equal to 0. That's going to be x equals the opposite sign. Or when I do both of these, it's going to be plus 7, x equals 7. Plus 3, x equals 3. There's my two answers. Okay. All right. And so we have one more on the left side here. So it's equal to 0 again already. So I can go ahead and find what factors of 25 give me 10. 1 and 25, 5 and 5. Well, 5 plus 5 is 10. So x plus 5 and x plus 5, both positive. Well, if I set these two equal to 0, they're going to give me the same thing. So really, when you have the same thing, you can write them just once. Okay, so I don't really need to write x equals negative 5 again because I already had it. Okay, so last one here, and then we'll be done for the day. Looking at number 5. Number 5. Already equal to 0. But this time I have 2 in front. So this is a slide. You got to recognize the difference. 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. So what two factors of negative 14 subtract to get 13? And so I would have 1 minus 14 or 14 minus 1. Since it's positive, the bigger one needs to be positive. So x minus 1, x plus 14. But this time, since I slide, I must divide by 2. So the one on the right is easy. That's x plus 7. This one, 2x minus 1. But this time, I need to set these equal to 0. So 2x minus 1 equals 0. X plus 7 equals 0. Solve both. Okay. The difference here is like this one's just going to be negative 7, like we've been doing. But this one, I add 1, but I'm not done. Because I have to still divide by 2, and we get a fraction. And so 1/2 and negative 7 is my answer. Okay. So for our homework today, get a little practice in here before we do some more of this tomorrow. We're going to go ahead and do the front 4 that we didn't do. So numbers 2, 4, 6, and 8. Okay. That's your homework. So go ahead and do those 4 numbers. And then tomorrow I'll check that and we'll practice a little more with that stuff. Okay. So good luck on that, and I'll see you tomorrow.